My name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all three of you. Can you say in one sentence or less what... you know what I mean. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world?
Well, Lewis and Sharon said it. Diversity and opportunity and freedom and freedom.
I'm not letting you go back to the airport without answering the question.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing. You don't look satisfied.
One's a set of laws and the other's a declaration of war. I want a human moment from you. What about the people? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom?
Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain,
Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl,
just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day,
there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. Enough?
Beijing rolling out the red carpet for world leaders, complete with dancers along the route and light.
It was a red carpet never seen before.
The last time we saw a public display quite like this was, frankly, in the Hunger Games. U.S. President Barack Obama has urged China to be a partner in underwriting international order, not undermining it.
We are living through one of these historic defining times. I think we are seeing a new world order.
As usual, you were not expecting me. I'm sure you can recognize who I am, but if you don't, let me introduce myself. It is I who worship God for thousands of years. I was the greatest of all slaves. My beauty lifted the hearts of the crowds. My light outshined the stars. And I was determined to ascend above the clouds to the high sacredness of God. And it happened. My wish was granted. It was a dream come true. I was rewarded by my Creator to be amongst the finest angels, the most loved. I was adoring all my eminence until your father, Adam, was created. I couldn't believe that I, the greatest of all, had to prostrate to an insignificant human made from clay. Difficult it was. I refused. I said no to the Almighty. I worshipped God for thousands of years. For how long had Adam served him? Why was Adam given the whole earth to rule? Clearly, I deserved it all, without a doubt. I am the one to rule and command the earth. Since the day of my refusal to kneel, I turned into the worst creature, became the enemy of God and his faithful servants. God promised me to enter hell on the day of judgment and to be held there for eternity. All this has happened because of you. I hate and envy you the same way I envied your father. Since you were born, I have been sinfully harming your life. I will not enter hell alone. I want you to share the pain with me and the curse that will descend upon me. I want to see you burn, cry, and scream as I will. Do you wish to know how I will achieve this? I will uncover the secrets behind my deceptions, the cunning tricks, the manipulation of strategies, and use it all to lead you towards sin. I will show you how I enter the heart of mankind to cause corruption in the world. You must be wondering why I would reveal my secrets to you. And don't worry, you will forget it all by the end of our meeting. To start, I want to clear a misconception you might have. Sadly, I have no power to force you to sin. Only by influencing your free will can I drive mankind to disobey. My grand agenda aims to strip the world from religious beliefs. My strategy to mislead you is very simple. I first try to drag you to infidelity and associating partners with God, which is the greatest sin. If you resist and don't get tricked, I like this one. I then move to plan B, which is to call you to major sins, like abandoning your prayers, adultery, causing harm to your fellow man, drinking alcohol. If you were a true believer and kept steadfast, I don't get discouraged. I call you towards minor sins. If you ignore me, I then occupy your days with permissible matters that are not sins or good deeds, like overeating, pursuing worldly affairs. All these will prevent you from getting rewards. The way I do all this is by gradually entering your heart through your weaknesses. Through what you love most, I attract you step by step.
Another deadly police shooting is rekindling racial anger in Missouri. In St. Louis, demonstrators faced riot police in a second night of protest over the death of an 18-year-old Mondrick Myers.
Across the country, an annual pumpkin festival of all things brought out police in riot gear this weekend. They found themselves dealing with violent clashes that broke out in Keene, New Hampshire.
Riot police fired pepper spray into unruly crowds of young people after violence erupted just off the Keene State College campus in New Hampshire, starting Saturday afternoon and lingering well into pre-dawn hours this morning. Authorities say both students and non-students from around the region drove the disturbances, raucous house parties that spilled onto city streets, overshadowing the town's annual pumpkin festival taking place nearby.
We're all seniors, so this was our last Pumpkin Fest, and the past 4 years have never been like this. It's never, ever, ever been this chaotic.
Ebola case here in New York. Late today, word of a new and mandatory quarantine now for any high-risk passenger.
New Jersey and New York now overriding the CDC, enforcing a mandatory quarantine for any individual who had direct contact with someone infected.
A lot of people panicking around here now since it's coming closer to home.
If you come into those airports and you're high risk, meaning you took care of a patient with Ebola, 21-day mandatory quarantine.
What I've directed the CDC to do is that as soon as somebody is diagnosed with Ebola, we want a rapid response team, a SWAT team, essentially from the CDC, to be on the ground as quickly as possible, hopefully within 24 hours.
Quite a surprise for AT&T UVerse customers this morning when an emergency alert appeared, taking control of their televisions. Problem is, there was no emergency.
Imagine the panic this caused for thousands of UVerse customers. There you are catching up on morning TV when an emergency alert comes across the screen saying a special message is on the way from the White House. Here's a look at some of the photos we received into our newsroom. Once the message appeared, many of the UVerse units automatically changed the channel and would not allow customers access to other channels. Now, in an actual emergency, it can only be activated by the White House for a national emergency. UVerse has not told us what caused the issue.
It was a simple act of patriotism. A hardware store employee in Florida placing flags on the front lawn in honor of soldiers who have served our country. So why'd the city tell him to take them down? So when the city comes and asks you to take it down, how did you feel and why did they do it?
Well, they said that they had a complaint. I bought the flags so that I could put them out there, and it just reminded me of my family. I only get back to Pittsburgh every 2 times a year, and I wanted to just have something close by to see, to be with me.
A Korean War veteran and his wife say they will continue to fly their American flag and MIA flag outside their Greenfield home despite what their homeowners association wants. Those that represent the homeowners association at Fieldstone subdivision say the flagpole violates the covenants and restrictions in the neighborhood. They've agreed to let Robert and Judy Willits keep their flag as long as they pay $500 to cover legal fees. The Willits say they won't remove it and they won't pay the fees.
That flag represents their freedom, number one. Without that flag and the people who fought for it, they wouldn't have freedom.
An Oklahoma man is blaming the devil for making him crash his car into a controversial monument.
The Ten Commandments monument on the grounds of the state capitol.
29-year-old Michael Reed Jr. was telling special agents that voices in his head and Satan told him to smash into the monument here at the north steps of the Capitol. Now those that helped erect the monument are left in disbelief.
That completely blows my mind that they're so scared of a statue that they got to come and tear it down.
Michael Sanford voluntarily helped set the foundation where the over 7-foot-tall monument once stood. Now that same plot is flat. The monument itself in 4 pieces.
This is alarming that anyone would get this close to the Capitol and would be able to knock down a historical monument just 10 feet away from the Capitol building itself.
Who would build a statue to Satan? Well, turns out a group of atheists wants to do exactly that.
Just a day after Canada raised its terror threat level, a terrifying scene unfolded in its capital today. Police say that a Canadian-born gunman identified as a convert to Islam, Michael Abdul-Zahaf Bebo, opened fire in the Parliament building in Ottawa.
The halls of Parliament exploded with gunfire after security forces spotted the suspected shooter.
Moments later, witnesses reported seeing other armed men on nearby streets dressed in black with white bandanas.
Get against the wall right now.
A shopping center, schools, and the U.S. Embassy were put on lockdown as heavily armed police swarmed into the streets.
How many people we got in here?
They searched door to door and checked cars leaving the area. For more than a week now, Canada has been on a heightened state of alert, concerned about just this kind of attack. 2 days ago, a man drove a car at 2 soldiers near Montreal.
Some of Bebo's personal friends have begun speaking to the press in Canada. They said that Bebo believed that the devil was chasing him.
It has happened again. Another man has jumped the White House fence. Only this time he was captured before getting into the residence.
Shortly after 7 p.m., the Secret Service says a man jumped the Pennsylvania Avenue fence of the White House. Secret Service dogs were released on the intruder, and video shows him kicking and punching them.
Now to that scary scene on the streets here in New York. A man with a hatchet attacking police officers, badly injuring 2 of them. One is in critical condition.
Coming on the heels of the 2 attacks on uniformed soldiers in Canada, this bizarre incident in New York City is being investigated as possible terrorism.
The dramatic surveillance video shows the 32-year-old man charging with a hatchet in both hands as he prepares to strike.
Unprovoked and not speaking a word, the male then swung at one of the officers with the hatchet, striking his right arm. After striking that officer, the suspect continued swinging the hatchet, striking a second officer in the head.
2 other police officers opened fire, killing the attacker, but also hitting a female bystander.
We begin tonight with the horror playing out near Seattle, Washington, the school shooting, and now we've learned the suspect, a popular high school football player, allegedly opening fire in the cafeteria. Tonight, that all too familiar view from above, students evacuating, sprinting to safety.
Is that information of a possible shooting at the high school in the cafeteria?
Early morning, the first call comes into 911 from someone inside the school. Students with their hands up could be seen running out of Marysville Pilchuck High. Police with guns drawn sweeping inside and checking locked doors. Minutes later, the shooter is reported dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Deadly 30-mile crime spree through Northern California. 2 sheriff's deputies have been killed, another wounded, and a motorist is fighting for his life, all triggering a massive manhunt for a pair of Bonnie and Clyde suspects.
A Northern California community under siege. The shooting rampage continued over the next 6 hours. Authorities say the 2 carjacked a red Ford pickup and drove 30 miles north, where they were approached by Davis and another officer. Marquez opened fire again.
It's being called a creepy craze in California. Mysterious clowns popping up across the state and terrorizing people.
Now it appears this peculiar phenomenon has made its way here to Jacksonville.
It's a scene straight from a horror movie, but it's right here in Jacksonville. Now the mysterious behavior seems to be spreading.
It was very weird.
Doug Vanderlin's security camera recorded this scene out front of his Market Street home.
I guess some people are afraid of clowns. I wouldn't say I am, but if you're afraid of clowns, it would be alarming.
And now, my worst nightmare. A growing mystery in California. People
dressed up as clowns have been popping up outside landmarks in a small city near Bakersfield. The picture is very creepy. Look at that, from copycats from a local photography project. But now police are growing concerned because there have been at least 16 reports of clowns holding weapons in recent days, guns and machetes, people.
Where things that are of concern to you and to the U.S. military are blowing up. Could you give us a brief, big picture of how dangerous you think this time of history is? Is it chronic annoyance or is it actual danger? And when will the United States see some end to these wars, especially the now 13-year war in Iraq, Afghanistan?
Jim, I think we are living through one of these historic defining times. I think we are seeing a new world order, post-World War II, post-Soviet Union implosion, being built. Many questions about, first, among the American people and our leaders, what's the role of America in this new world that is evolving? Should we have a role? What is appropriate? Each one of these issues, regardless of where they are, affects us now, will continue to affect us into the future. I've said, Chairman Dempsey said, President Obama has said, Secretary Kerry, others, that what we're seeing in the Middle East with ISIL is going to require a steady, long-term effort. It's going to require coalitions of common interests, which we are forming. We have more than 60 countries now with us to deal with this. This is an ideology. This is a dynamic that in total we've never quite seen. And then you look at all the other dimensions, the rise of China, Russia, what Russia has been doing the last 6 months, a pandemic disease, Ebola being an example, budget issues. We've got a Congress that can't work together. If we're not paying a price today, we will pay a big price tomorrow.
It's hard to call Elon Musk a technophobe. There's one bit of future tech Musk isn't so keen on: artificial intelligence. And during a recent MIT Aerospace Symposium, Musk issued a grave warning about the potential dangers of AI research.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
An Oklahoma man is blaming the devil for making him crash his car into a controversial monument.
The Ten Commandments monument on the grounds of the state capitol.
A woman decapitated, her body thrown into a quiet street on Long Island, police say by her own son.
Residents say they thought it was a Halloween prank at first. A decapitated body lying in the street outside an apartment building in New York, but now police say this was definitely for real.
Rain washed the blood-stained street in Farmingdale, where a horror unfolded last night in front of stunned neighbors.
I'm horrified that I actually was standing right in the car, saw a head, saw a body, dismissed it as a Halloween prank.
It was no prank. Nassau police say the severed head and body were that of 66-year-old Patricia Ward, decapitated by her 35-year-old son. After killing her in the apartment they shared, police say Derek Ward dragged her downstairs through the lobby, then to Secataug Avenue. A half an hour later, committing suicide, throwing himself in front of a moving Long Island Railroad train.
A manhunt is underway this morning in Washington, D.C. after another axe attack on police. The officer was injured while trying to disarm a man with an axe. He was not hit with the weapon. Sources tell our affiliate WUSA that the man used an axe to hit the window of the officer's cruiser while he was inside. This comes on the heels of a hatchet attack in New York City last week that wounded 2 cops.
And right now at 6, new information about the murder of Jacob Crockett in Stillwater. Police say he was nearly beheaded.
A 21-year-old Stillwater man is accused of using
a large machete-like sword to kill one of his so-called friends.
The probable cause statement says Marin's own brother watched in shock as he pulled a sword during a card game.
Coherent. Certainly some of the statements he made were disturbing.
Police say Marin called 911 shortly after police say he nearly decapitated 19-year-old Jacob Crockett. This is a surveillance photo of a blood-covered Isaiah Marin as he walked, sword in hand, through a nearby car dealer parking lot.
He kept quoting Bible verses to me.
And Triana Wright says she talked to Isaiah Marin. The witness says she watched the suspect walk through the parking lot with his machete onto Highway 51 until he was intercepted by police.
It may sound like a Halloween prank, but police in Stamford are investigating after the discovery of 2 human skulls. And that's not all police say they found at the Stamford Refuge Transfer Station. Take a look. They also found a jawbone and several books on Satan and witchcraft. They say an employee at the station found the skulls while sifting through garbage yesterday afternoon. The area was closed off in order to investigate.
A new emergency vehicle like nothing seen before in Orange County will soon hit the streets. At 48,000 pounds, the armored vehicle is designed to help the SWAT unit during emergencies.
Chief Deputy Clint Hodgkinson is stepping into something new, Orange County's first armored vehicle.
Ready?
Free of charge from the Department of Defense and already stripped of the military equipment used overseas.
When you train a police officer to use military-style weapon from the battlefield, how are you changing that officer's psychological sense of what his duty is? It's sort of soldierizing, if I may coin a phrase.
Stay inside.
Hey, go inside. You're going to be arrested for interfering. You understand?
No, I can be out here.
You're interfering right now.
No, it's not past curfew. This is the police. We're serving a search warrant.
I can't see nothing.
2825 Northeast 23rd Street.
Go inside right now.
Anyone inside that location, stay where you are. No, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Inside right now.
I have no weapons. I'm fine.
Go.
Hey, this is my place.
Yeah, go.
All neighbors stay inside and away from windows. Hey, this is on iCloud. Hey, you're arrested. Okay, well, I'm putting it down. Okay.
We are living through one of these historic defining times. I think we are seeing a new world order.
One of the biggest music stars on the planet is under fire tonight.
Queens native and rapper Nicki Minaj is being criticized for a new video she released that some say invokes Nazi imagery.
The lyrics alone are too racy for us to broadcast, but it's the imagery in rapper Nicki Minaj's new video that's causing controversy. Critics say the lyric video for the song Only is filled with Nazi-inspired images. In it, a cartoon of Minaj sits on a throne like a military dictator surrounded by red banners. There are even soldiers before her wearing armbands featuring the logo for Minaj's record label. They resemble swastikas.
Obvious symbolism right there about relating to Nazis is a little bit strange, especially coming from her.
You need to be careful with some of the things you put on the TV and the internet, especially with the youth nowadays. They're going to start following some of the things that she does that aren't that appropriate.
Check out this clip of a lady who thinks that Monster energy drinks are the work of Satan, and she's got the facts to back her up. Originally it was posted to Facebook, and that video has 8 million views, and then was reposted to YouTube, 3 million views, all in just one day. The woman's identity is currently unknown, but that's not for lack of trying.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew. The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on the can. But my interest is the word monster. What do you see in the O? There's a cross. Okay. What has Christ got to do with an energy drink, let alone the name Monster? So I thought, well, maybe this is a Christian company then. BFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. Big can. In fact, they write it on the side of the can, so I know that's the F word. Okay. Now, do you know what a MILF is? Yes. That's on the box. MILFs, dig it, and you will too. This is not a Christian company at all. So why would they have put a cross on the can? Here is the message. Antichrist. 666 in Hebrew. And then the Bible talks about the beast in Revelation. And look at Monster's ad. This is their statement. You see these M's everywhere. Hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Is there another agenda here? If God can use people and product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that that is a cross. And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down, bottoms up, and the devil laughs. Something to think about. Wow. This is how clever Satan is and how he gets into the Christian home and a Christian's life, and it breaks God's heart. Jesus said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
A Brownsboro high school student has been arrested after threatening graffiti was found in a boy's bathroom at the school. Parents have posted these pictures of that graffiti. The school isn't confirming that this is what was found in the bathroom. That student is charged with terroristic threat on a public entity, which is a third-degree felony. The student has been taken to the Henderson County Jail.
A disturbing image hidden inside a toy purchased at a local dollar store.
News Center 7's Lauren Clark with why a Kettering mother wants it off the shelves.
A mother bought her toddler this princess wand at the dollar store behind me. Imagine her surprise when the curious little girl peeled back the foil to find this image of a girl cutting herself inside.
You don't want to think about little girls picking that up and thinking this is normal, you know, or funny or interesting or any of those things.
The owner of the store tells me he will not be taking the item off of his shelf unless he receives a complaint directly from a customer.
Tonight is where you stand before God. Shut up! Before it's too late. Shut it! We can all be saved tonight. And I pray that you turn and repent before it's too late. Turn from your sin. Blah, 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 blah. What is sin? Blah, 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 well, God gave his commandments so that we could see our sin. Stop talking, no one listens. And see, because of our sin, that we need to turn to God. Potholes should be quiet. We need to turn to God before it's too late, just like the rich man. The rich man didn't turn to God, and it was too late for him when he stood before God in heaven. He wants to hear you. And in hell, he lifted up his eyes. Jesus, blah, blah, Jesus, blah, blah. No. Don't think that your own good works will get you to heaven. Nothing will get us to heaven but Jesus Christ.
It did not take long for the city of Fort Lauderdale to make good on its promise to criminally charge those who violate a new ordinance that effectively outlaws groups from feeding the homeless in public.
On Sunday, the city charged 3 people, including 2 ministers and a 90-year-old homeless advocate, and they could face up to 60 days in jail for their so-called crime.
I fully believe that I am my brother's keeper. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
90-year-old Arnold Abbott prepares hundreds of meals each week for the homeless in the kitchen of the Sanctuary Church. But Abbott's work now has him in trouble with the law.
Why is he being arrested? Shame on you! Shame on you!
He faces possible jail time and a $500 fine for feeding the homeless after he was charged Sunday with violating a new ordinance that virtually outlaws groups from sharing food with the hungry in the city.
One of the police officers came over and said, "Drop that plate right now." And so I was carrying a weapon.
Also charged was a minister from Coral Springs and Sanctuary Church pastor.
A story that's probably going to outrage you. High school football team in Delaware forced to change a post-game ritual of praying after an advocacy group gets its hands on this photo of the team's coach and his players gathered in a holy huddle.
A school board member certainly did, saying, quoting here, groups such as the Freedom from Religion Foundation are about taking rights away, not ensuring that we keep our rights. The head coach says this is the first time in 40 years of coaching that he has not been able to pray with his students, Gretchen, but he said he will continue to instill right and wrong in his players.
By beautifying this world in your eyes, I make it magical. Hard to resist, tough to reject. Wealth, power, fame, and women become the center of all thoughts, the core that the whole world orbits around. I hypnotize you to run from one passion to another, committing evil endlessly. The more you people sin, the more I occupy your souls. And when you discover the truth that you became my slaves, you would be dead. If all these fail, I begin to plant fear and sadness in your heart. Poverty would become scary, so that you lie and cheat. I make you fear the oppressor, so that you don't stand up for the oppressed. I make you fear everything but God, except God. Once you remain undefeated, then it is time for my most powerful trick. I use my elite slaves, those who dedicate their lives to me and my agenda. I command them to manipulate your life, to harm you, prosecute you, and to distort your reputation. They can approach you from every side. With this scheme, I can diminish your willpower and strength to resist. I can disable you from moving forward towards God. In this way to God, don't think you can overthrow me. I will show you what no one has ever seen from me. I will whisper and invite, day and night. I will enter your soul through what you love most to make your evil self meaner, greedier, needier. I will feed your mind with evil and daunting thoughts to diminish your determination. It is I who will be victorious. It is I who will last.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
Sir.
Were you a member of Skull and Bones in college in Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
That's all right. Let me answer his question.
Whoa, don't chase me. I said go to him.
Anticristo, Anticristo, Anticristo. Ecco, ecco.
and listen to the after part. God only knows what went on indoors.
And what did you hear? What was it you know? You managed to get this unique
It was
access to it.
disgusting. It was gross. I mean, they were pretending to murder people.
What was the tone of it, though? Was it jokey or was it quite...
No, it wasn't jokey at all. It was sick. It's about the only thing to describe it. It was sick.
What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. It has never been broadcast before. 15 new members of the club are being introduced into the macabre rituals of Skull and Bones by the senior students who are about to graduate. The club has what some might see as a strange fascination with death, skulls and bones. There's the chants too, difficult to hear first of all, but including the devil equals death, and death equals death.
And what you're looking at here, staggeringly, is a group of people, some of the most famous people in America, in long gowns. Behind them there you see a 40-foot stone owl. And there's the fire between them, next to the lake at Bohemian Grove. Now, one might wonder, understandably, why the people that run the banking, political, economic system and the media in America should be dressed in long robes doing a ceremony to a 40-foot stone owl. I think we should be told.
No doubt you'll be hearing about all the differences between John Kerry and George W. Bush. But we've discovered they do have something in common. During their respective college days at Yale, they both belonged to a group called Skull and Bones.
The Bohemian Club, as you say, the Bohemian Club, that's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
One last question. I read a Washington Times article many years ago where you had a comment about the organization, and then now it's been in the Wall Street Journal, it's been in a lot of different newspapers, and that's the Bohemian Grove. And back in, what was it, 1996, when you joined as a Clinton advisor, the Republicans were criticizing you, oh, what about Bohemian Grove? And then you countered them by saying, hey, I don't run around in the woods naked. What did that mean?
Here is the before-mentioned Washington Times article where he said, I didn't run around naked like they do.
I don't know what quote you're referring to. I'm not aware of any quote like that. Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there, and it's really inappropriate for me to talk about the group beyond that. Thank you.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000. I'm the guy that blew it wide open and got the video. It's been on national TV.
Well, I disrespect you for that.
You do?
I do.
But there's a lot of big public officials going in there. Don't we deserve to know?
I don't know anything about you, and I don't know anything about your film. But if you go in there with an understanding, you violated that understanding by releasing that film, and I don't respect you for that.
Really? But we have public officials.
I'm sorry. You took an understanding when you went in there that you would not do that film. And did you have an understanding when you went in there?
No.
Did you crash it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it has no trespassing signs there too, doesn't it?
No, they put them up after.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just walked in.
I'm sorry, sir. I've been there before. I know what the circumstances are, and I'm sorry you violated the understandings. That was not a gentlemanly thing to do.
But what about the ritual? Is the ritual genuinely?
Sir, everything. I don't owe you this comment.
I know.
This is what's called ambush journalism, and I disrespect you for that as well. So thank you and goodbye.
Been in the ritual?
That's none of your damn business.
Year after year, he burned me in this room, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. But when again, ye turn your faces to the marketplace, do ye not find me waiting at the hole? Fools to dream ye conquer care.
Nay, thou mocking spirit, it is not all a dream. We know thou waitest for us, year after year within this happy grove. Our fellowship bans thee for a space. Thy malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free.
Ye shall burn me once again! Now believe, way, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
Hail fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, Midsummer sets us free.
2 years ago, from my research, I'm convinced it's much more serious than that. It's more than a loose-knit network. It is a conspiracy. In 1784, a copy of this document was sent to the Illuminists Weishaupt and delegated to foment the French Revolution. Mean the Illuminati was responsible for the French Revolution? Yes, absolutely. The courier was struck dead by lightning as he rode through Ratisbon on his way from Frankfurt to Paris. What about a little divine intervention there, huh? The police found the subversive documents on his body and turned them over to the proper government authorities. After careful study of the plot, the Bavarian government ordered the police to raid Weishaupt's newly organized lodges of the Grand Orient and the homes of some of the most influential associates, including the castle of Baron Bossen-Sonderdorf. Additional evidence thus obtained convinced the authorities that documents were a genuine copy of a conspiracy by which the Synagogue of Satan had controlled the Illuminati at the top, planned to use wars and revolutions to bring about the establishment of one kind or another of a one-world government, the powers of which they intended to usurp as soon as it was established. In 1785, the Bavarian government outlawed the Illuminati and closed the lodges of the Grand Orient. In 1786, they published the details of the conspiracy.
Union Banking Corporation was liquidated by the U.S. government, and Prescott Bush received $1.5 million for his holdings in his Nazi business, and that was the beginning of the Bush family fortune for all intents and purposes. George Bush takes his inspiration from what he learned in Skull and Bones and from the Thule Society that Hitler and Goebbels and Goring cut their teeth in, Bohemian Grove, these evil organizations that perpetrate the ugly things that these criminals are doing to this country for which they must be held accountable.
They are the most violent, dirtiest people on the face of the earth. Somewhere Americans are going to have to take their country back and start finding out who are these people. Who are these people we call our representatives, the Bushes. George Bush, the president, his father, went around the country talking about a new world order. The people who are running this country from behind the scenes do not care a thing about Americans or bloodshed anywhere.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?